Get ready, Staten Island. It's time to celebrate 5 years of Ferry Hawks baseball. Join us Friday, April 24th through Sunday, April 26th for our first homestand of the season and our 5th anniversary celebration. Score big with $5 tickets. Grab $5 domestic draft beers. Enjoy $5 popcorn. And yes, 2 Nathan's hot dogs for just $5. Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The president is warning he's ready to pick up the fighting again if no deal is reached. He said as much in an interview this morning with PBS, and he posted the same thing to Truth Social yesterday, saying, quote, "We're offering a very fair and reasonable deal, and I hope they take it, because if they don't, the United States is going to knock out every single power plant and every single bridge in Iran. No more Mr. Nice Guy. They'll come down fast, they'll come down easy, and if they don't take the deal, it will be my honor to do what has to be done." Iran evidently didn't take that to heart, because hours afterward, the president announced an Iranian-flagged cargo ship tried to get past the U.S. naval blockade, prompting a U.S. response. The president said, quote, "The Iranian crew refused to listen, so our Navy ship stopped them right in their tracks by blowing a hole in the engine room. Right now, U.S. Marines have custody of the vessel. The Takusa is under U.S. Treasury sanctions because of their prior illegal activity. We have full custody of the ship and are seeing what's on board." Iran is calling for the naval blockade to be removed before they agree to move forward with peace talks, but there's no sign at all that the U.S. is entertaining that demand.
Well, there is a sign, apparently, if the news goes back and forth and sideways. But apparently, negotiators are on their way to Pakistan, where negotiations will continue with the Iranians around talks on shaky footing after the seizure of that ship. That's the Washington Post version of it. And Iran's foreign minister at the time, Ismail Baqi, said that they hadn't made any decision regarding the next round of talks. But other reports later this afternoon, as I just said, indicate that they are sending a delegation. President Trump denying, and another news story, that he's under any pressure to reach a deal. He's not cheap. I'm not true. It's not true. I'm not under pressure. I'm under no pressure. Although it will all happen relatively quickly. Time is not my adversary. The only thing that matters is that after we finally, after 47 years, straighten out the mess that other presidents let happen because they didn't have the courage or foresight to do what had to be done with respect to Iran. So, mixed signals, another day. President Trump called their new Iranian regime confused, and there are all sorts of new reports about Ahmad Vahidi, who is apparently the big cheese over there now. He's calling a lot of the shots with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. And he's emerging as one of the most powerful men in the new Iran. I wonder if the Israelis know where he is. Ooh, by the way, there was an ugly incident over, I believe it happened in Lebanon, was it? That an Israeli Defense Force soldier in a video that's gone viral was seen smashing a statue of Jesus, depicting Jesus, and the IDF quickly just jumped all over it, made apologies, and said that they're doing a full investigation. So some of the things that are happening nationally, I would just say we can summarize them with indecision. We don't know where things are going in the full scheme of things, whether the ceasefire will continue, whether Donald Trump has truly had enough, whether the bombing will resume on a large scale with the infrastructure of Iran being targeted, etc. There are other disturbing things that have happened domestically, especially over the weekend, ladies and gentlemen. This case in Louisiana is just absolutely horrible. In Shreveport, what took place over the weekend. One of the deadliest mass shootings of recent years. Shamar Elkins killed 7 of his own children and another child. His wife was shot, also wounded. His wife apparently escaped with a child by jumping off the roof of their home, running for her life. The only ones he didn't kill were the ones who got away, and this shooter, who had a previous history of violence, a felony firearms conviction back in 2019, was not supposed to have access to weapons, but he did. And of course, the press reports it as an assault-style weapon. And guess what? If you're getting killed, no matter what weapon it is, if it's an assault on you, and the weapon can be described as an assault-styled knife can do you in. An assault-styled pistol can do you in. It is horrible what has taken place there. 3 of the children who perished are 3 boys, 5 girls, ranging in age from 3 to 11 years old. The wife, Shaniqua, were separating. They were due back in court today. The couple had been arguing about the separation before the shooting, and that bears to mind what took place in Virginia last week, where we had the former lieutenant governor there, Fairfax, shoot his wife apparently to death and then shot himself to death. It is very, very tragic. Out in Los Angeles, a Queens-born musician, the singer Dave 4D, or David, the way it's pronounced, I don't understand this for business, but anyway, is one of his songs, Romantic Homicide. Romantic Homicide. He's only 21 years old, but he may spend the rest of his life in jail, and that life, well, normally, if he were in Texas, I would take this seriously, but this is taking place in California. So you read that in newspaper coverage today, he's facing the death penalty. Look, it's California. So they can say that all they want to. Gavin Newsom unilaterally just decided that everybody on death row got a bum deal earlier in his term, and just resentenced all of them all by himself to life, or changed their sentences. So David Burke now faces a maximum sentence of life in prison if he's found guilty of this, parole or the death penalty. And the prosecutors haven't said what. He's facing charges of continuous sexual acts, lascivious sexual acts with an individual under 14 years old, of mutilating a human body, special circumstances, laying in wait, committing the crime for financial gain, or murdering a witness in an investigation. All of these. The circumstances include lying in wait because this girl, 14 years old, apparently went to his house the night of August 23rd, 2025. Never heard from again. He had the car was found abandoned and all that. So anyway, her dismembered and decomposed remains were found in 2 bags inside of a front trunk of a car registered to him, prompting the investigation to determine who killed this 14-year-old. Parent's nightmare. It's described as your daughter, 14-year-old, goes out, never comes back home again. Ah, man. I was asking Carlos when the show began, do you ever have one of those days? I'm having one, folks, where it's everything from almost the moment I woke up has felt unsettling. It's almost like, and as I'm going through the news, the unsettling just gets worse and worse and worse. There was another story, James Flippin and I talked about it on the local WABC top of the hour that we do, a shooting that took place in St. Albans, 15-year-old boy. I grew up in St. Albans, Queens. And so when you start naming these places where this took place, this was in Roy Wilkins Park. So I know, of course we know where that is and have been in there, have For a minute, I thought it could have been O'Connor, but it was in Roy Wilkins. And no details, no arrest yet. And I said to James, and this is something, folks, that you've heard me talk about over and over again, the culture. It's the culture. There was a woman talking about, we need more investment. We need more investment. Investment into what? How's money going to solve this? How is spending more money going to solve any of this? Because what we're talking about is a decay that has happened inside the heart. What we're talking about is a void that exists, a void where there is no inner conscious telling you, don't do this thing. What you're getting ready to do, you can't come back from. And that is devoid. There's no amount of money that we can spend on any community that will solve that problem. In fact, the things that will solve the problem, time and dedication. What do I mean? Time, giving time to raising your children, giving time to raise them with a moral foundation. And even when you do that, it's a crapshoot sometimes. Because ultimately we're all responsible for our own behavior. Parents, only thing they can do is the best they can to instill the values that they have, the moral values in their children. Now, the children also have to be receptive to them. So you have these teenagers that are dying. In this case, in Louisiana, it's horrible. You had these babies that don't even have a chance to grow up. And you have all these other things that are happening in not just the neighborhoods close to us, but spread out throughout the country and throughout the world. And I'm here to tell you that no amount of investment that you can make in terms of quote-unquote programs, government programs, no investment that you make is going to solve any of that. The investment has to be made in people's hearts, in understanding that we have to teach not just morals, but the reason for morality. We have to start with the consciousness.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, she has amended her financial, apparently, disclosure from last year where she declared $30 million. Today it's back down to like just a mere $96,000. That would be Ilhan Omar. Now, I don't know whether she's going to touch on this with this interview. I don't remember it. The Lindell TV, Mike Lindell, my pillow guy. He has his television network now. He's got a reporter out on Capitol Hill. And she interviewed, Ilhan Omar in the halls. Cut 13. This is what that sounded like.
Congresswoman Omar, you were just talking about how Trump's economy has failed the American people, but I think the American people really want to know how you went from a negative 65,000 before coming into Congress to over $30 million in just 7 years.
My disclosure is public now.
Yeah, it is. And so a lot of people now are looking into that and finding S. Crew Winery, a winery that doesn't actually seem to exist. Is that a real winery, or
do you all actually look at and read things, or do you just ask silly questions?
Well, it's listed in the financial disclosure, so can you explain it? Because we have a lot of questions about it, and things just aren't adding up. There's no real phone number. There's no real location.
Why, did you want to buy some wine?
Probably not from you, to be honest. Recently stated that the American people should be afraid of the white man. They should be fearful of the white man.
I never said that.
Yeah, you're on video saying it.
Our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country.
I did not. Yes, you.
Again, this is like what I said. You need to prepare yourself because you can't continue embarrassing yourself like this.
So I'm just a liar.
What I was quoting was an actual study done by the FBI.
Okay. Thank you.
Just prepare next time.
All right. Thank you, Congresswoman.
Yeah, that Ilhan Omar. We have more from Nick Shirley today. Nick Shirley, I tell you, the more I see this kid, the more he's actually confronting the Democrats that want to throw him in jail for reporting the fraud that is going on in the state of California. So we'll have that too. Carville's out again, ladies and gentlemen. Also, New York, interesting place that they're in with CDLs, with commercial driver's licenses. Hopefully we'll have time to get there. And illegal immigration, still top of mind. So whatever you do, stay right where you are. Don't go away, please.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Democrats win the presidency in both houses of Congress. I think on day one, they should make Puerto Rico, D.C. a state, and they should expand the Supreme Court to 13. Eat our dust. They've done everything they could. They held up the 2000 election. They stole it. They've stolen Supreme Court seats. They've gerrymandered everything that you can, and the only way to fight this is don't run on it, don't talk about it, just do it. Just, okay, we got 54 senators, and we got 13 court members. Thank you, goodbye. Because you're not going to get a fast shake any kind of way in this system. 18% of the United States elects 52 senators. Well, you're not going to make it equitable, but you'll make it better by adding Puerto Rico and D.C.
Ilhan Omar, we have more, but I kind of want to move on to talk about some other things here. Katie Hobbs, the governor of Arizona, was on a local channel, I think it's either an NBC or a CBS channel out there, News 12 in Arizona. And they asked her, the Ebonic language there, because we're an inclusive bunch over here, they asked her about the senator there, Ruben Gale, who is besties, or was besties, with Eric Swalwell before he threw Swalwell under the bus. And here's your governor out there in Arizona, Katie Hobbs, that's cut 17, reacting to questions about what did his best friend know and who did he know? Well, when did he know it?
Senator Ruben Gallego says he, quote, had no knowledge of predatory behavior, sexual assault, or harassment by his best friend, now former Congressman Eric Swalwell. Do you accept Senator Gallego's explanation for why he didn't know about Swalwell's alleged predatory behavior?
Well, those are really questions for the senator. I will say that as a social worker who spent a big part of my career working with victims of domestic violence, I absolutely take any allegations of sexual assault seriously and believe that any perpetrator, no matter who they are, needs to be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law.
Do you accept Senator Gallego's explanation for why he didn't know about what his best friend was doing?
I don't think it's on me to accept it. It's on the voters. And again, these questions need to go back to the senator.
So you're not going to answer that question?
I support survivors, and I am glad there's going to be some accountability.
Line, please. Survivors. I support survivors, and please stop asking me about this, whether I believe him or not.
Thank you. Yeah, the Democrats. This guy went on a lot of trips with Swalwell. So, anyway, those questions are still out there, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Holder, Virginia's getting ready to kick all the Republican voters in the check. You know, Republican voters are about half the state. What Democrats want to do is just kick them to the curb in this redistricting effort and make sure that they only have one Republican left standing in the Virginia delegation. Eric Holder's talking about it. Tim Kaine. We have others talking about it. Let's start off with Eric Holder. He was on Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan and asked about this whole redistricting effort in the state of Virginia. Cut 10, former Attorney General of the United States of these Americas, Eric Holder.
Historically, the president's party doesn't usually do well in the midterm races. So why do Democrats need to do this? I mean, it sounds like it's acknowledging that the Democratic Party can't win on its own, that it has to go through these measures.
The Democrats can certainly win if it's a fair fight. And the question I have...
It wasn't going to be a fair fight in Virginia?
No, it wasn't going to be a fair fight nationally if you try to steal seats in Texas, in North Carolina, and in Missouri. And so the question I have for people who are critical of that which we're doing is, what were we supposed to do? Nothing? Just allow them to try to stack the deck, to try to steal seats? And all we're trying to do is meet them and try to make the system as fair as it possibly can be. And that's all that this is about.
No pushback that I'm aware of. The simple pushback on that is make it fair. How is it remotely fair? Democrats have used illegal immigration and padded their blue cities with illegal immigrants and protected them with sanctuary laws that count in the census that result in additional Democrat House seats. How is that remotely fair? How is it fair that in Massachusetts, in other states along the eastern seaboard, there is zero Republicans being represented? How is it fair to begin with? The entire premise of his answer is wrong and should have been called out. Tim Kaine was asked about it. He was on, believe it or not, on Fox News Sunday. He showed up. But I give him credit for that. Cut 11, Fox News Sunday with Tim Kaine. Ask about this Virginia plan to strip Republicans and kick them out, kick them in the you-know-whats.
Listen, let's talk about the last vote there in Virginia, the presidential vote. Vice President Kamala Harris won by about 5 percentage points. So the state is relatively split with a left lean, but 90% of House members from Virginia being from one party?
90% of Virginians are not Democrats. That's true. Correct. But about 100% of Virginians want election results to be respected. We're deeply worried that Donald Trump will try to interfere with the election results this November or in 2028 because we saw him do it before. And we have to have a Congress that will stand up to it. In 2021, all 5 Republicans in Virginia went along with Donald Trump in his effort to overturn election results. And so we're giving Virginians a chance to vote, which Republican states have not done, about whether they want to have a congressional delegation that will stand up against Donald Trump's tyranny.
We are rewriting the lines to kick those bastard Republicans out of office. That is exactly what their thinking is. All this other talk, they're not doing anything of that. This is just political jibber-jabber. What he is doing and what they're doing is they're rewriting the district so the Republicans don't have a chance, and then get rid of the Republicans and screw the Republicans who live in Virginia. Screw all of them. You guys voted for a Democrat governor, so now screw you. We're going to kick all of you to the curb, and we don't care. I mean, just call it what it is. All this nonsense about Trump in the elections. I remember when these people used to talk about anyone that didn't believe in an election result or stuff, they used to wind up out election deniers. These people are the biggest election deniers in the world. Meanwhile, in Virginia, they elected a Democrat, all right, and they're paying, and they're getting what they asked for. Cut 7. Here's a news report right out of Arlington, Virginia, which is minutes away from Washington, D.C., minutes away in Arlington. And by the way, I have been on this exact street. They talked about the street being really close to the Whole. I've been at the Whole Foods in Arlington. I know exactly where this joint is. And it used to be a really nice upscale neighborhood. I don't know whether it still is, given what's happening here. But this is Cut 7, what's happening in Arlington, Virginia. This is what happens when you elect Democrats.
Nick?
Right now, I'm in Clarendon on Wilson Boulevard next to the Whole Foods. This is where police say a man, an illegal immigrant, stalked a woman, hit her, and attempted to rape her. Arlington police say on April 12th, Luzvin Orvando Garcia Moran attempted to rape a woman at 5:41 in the morning in Clarendon. Police say the woman was waiting for a ride share when Garcia Moran started talking to her. The victim walked away. He followed, grabbed her, pushed her into a wall, and physically assaulted her. The victim was able to get away, but he wasn't done. Police say Garcia Moran reapproached and assaulted her again. When the victim yelled for help, 2 people came to her aid and called police. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security confirms Garcia Moran is in the country illegally. He's from Guatemala, and he has at least 25 prior charges over the past 6 years, including charges for assault and battery and attempting to disarm a police officer. Instead of being transferred to ICE for deportation, he was released back into the community by the Arlington sheriff. DHS said in a statement that, quote, Virginia's sanctuary policies allowed this illegal alien to go on a crime spree. Arlington Sheriff Jose Quiros, like Fairfax County Sheriff Stacey Kincaid, doesn't cooperate with ICE, and their official policy is not to honor ICE immigration detainers and warrants. Jonathan Fahey is a former acting director of ICE.
Arlington County policies is utterly absurd. Law enforcement works best when the local, state, and federal all work together. And Arlington County, again, is putting politics first, much like they do in Fairfax. And unfortunately, we have a victim of a crime very recently that didn't need to be a victim of the crime. It's amazing to me that the governor would not allow somebody like this to be turned over to ICE.
Yeah, it should be amazing to everybody, but it's not. It's not. This is the way it is in Virginia. This guy arrested over 25 times, illegal immigrant, and yet you have the sheriff in Arlington lets him out. Sheriff Jose lets him out. It's just amazing what is taking place. And Virginia, you know, if you happen to live in Virginia, so what? You have rapists on your street, probably have a bunch of murderers out there too that the Democrats let out of jail. Roll the dice. Good luck to you, because they don't care. Want to move on to New York. Let's come up for a minute. New York, Transportation Secretary Duffy, we talked about what is happening with New York and commercial driver's licenses. Again, concerning illegal immigration and Democrats, and who Democrats put first. Hint, it isn't you. Cut 4. Here is Transportation Secretary Duffy.
We audited New York in 53% of the licenses, commercial driver's licenses issued to foreigners. 53% were issued illegally, contrary to our rules. And so usually we give states 30 days to come into compliance. We gave New York 4 months to say, hey, what we want you to do is just go back and audit all of these licenses that you've given, and if you've given them contrary to the rules, we'll revoke that license. And in essence, New York said, go pound sand, DOT. And so this is the first step. We said, okay, we're going to pull the $73 million. There's more money that we can pull as we get to the out months. But in the very end, if New York doesn't comply, we can pull their ability to issue commercial driver's licenses. And it's not a New York issue. As you know, commercial drivers don't stay in New York. They drive across the country. And so you have a state with really good rules, say Oklahoma. These drivers from New York drive truck through Oklahoma and every other state. And so they endanger the families that are going to church like on a Sunday morning like today, or they're going to Walmart to shop. We've seen way too many videos of commercial drivers who can't read road signs like you mentioned, but also we found a whole slew of fake schools. It's kind of like the Learning Center in Minnesota, where you pay them $1,000 to the school. There's no curriculum. There's no driver. They get a certificate that they passed the school when they don't know anything about commercial driving. By the way, these are 80,000-pound big rigs. And then they get on American roads and they hurt the American people. There are the countless Americans that want to drive truck. These are great jobs. They support families. And instead, we have illegals or foreigners getting these jobs, and they're hurting the American people. We are not going to tolerate it.
Let me just say this about that very quickly. If you are in law enforcement and you are patrolling the highways of our nation, it wouldn't bother many people. I don't know whether this is legal or not, and I'm not urging you to do anything that is illegal, certainly. Wouldn't want to see it, don't want it. However, it would not bother people every single tag with a New York plate on it on these rigs. If they are not in 100% legal compliance, it wouldn't bother people if they were stopped and looked at, because you can't trust New York, apparently. And sad to say, there are so many honest drivers in New York that are probably going to get tainted with this. But if you have a state like this, a rogue state, 53% of the licenses that they gave out to foreigners are illegal. 53%. And they refuse to do anything about it. If I were in law enforcement in other parts of the country, and part of my job was making sure that the laws of the roads were followed, I would be very concerned about this. Now, before we head to a break, one other story I got to get to. And there are others. I had some Kamala Harris stuff I'm going to have to hold till tomorrow. Swing state Democrat, another Democrat here, Dr. Abdul El-Sayed, who is running for the Democrat Senate seat in Michigan, was on a podcast and he took some shots at J.D. Vance. What he said about J.D. Vance. What do you think? He's talking about his wife here, Usha. What do you think is going through Usha's head when he talks? She's like, damn, I have to sleep with him. I guess she's pregnant, so something's happening. Can you imagine? He's got brown kids. At some point, he's going to have a really awkward conversation with his kids, like, you made your career hating people who are different. He's got to look at his kids and be like, yeah, those are brown kids. They're mine. You know what I mean? And he says, and I have brown kids. I have brown kids. I love my brown kids. I think my brown kids are just as American as everybody else. J.D. Vance has brown kids who he thinks are less American than anyone else. I'm telling you what. This is just so disgusting, so racist, so sexist, so ugly on so many levels. But it is so Democrat.
Thanks for listening to The James Golden Show. You can hear The James Golden Show Saturday mornings at 7. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.